Hi, it's Dr. Z. Welcome to Week 5 of Psych 101. This week, we'll be covering Chapter 6 on learning. Let's get started with the overview. In this hybrid course, please pay attention to the essential and in-person headings. By the end of this week, you'll be able to complete these district course competencies and learning objectives. For this week, please watch the overview video and view the activity checklist here. This chapter is separated into 3 sections. The first section is classical conditioning. I also refer to classical conditioning as CC for short. Classical conditioning was developed by Ivan Pavlov. What surprises many students is that Dr. Pavlov was not a psychologist. He was a medical doctor who was studying how stomachs digest food and how we salivate in response to food. In its simplest form, classical conditioning is learning by association. Please read the designated pages in the textbook and complete the corresponding Nearpod lesson. This week's Nearpod lesson will review classical conditioning. Please note the essential heading. Nearpod lessons are due on Wednesdays at 11:59 p.m. This week's activity expands on the concept of classical conditioning. In Experiment Can Anyone Be Trained, students just like you conducted experiments to show learning by association in real life. Please pay attention to this essential heading. I would like for you to watch the following experiments before attending in-person class on Thursday. Each student will be assigned to a specific experiment, so see the table below. We will review this handout during in-person class on Thursday. This activity will prepare you for discussion board number 4. Now, an important note here. You can complete discussion board number 4 before in-person class on Thursday. You will just need to complete this week's Nearpod lesson first. The second section is operant conditioning, or OC for short. Have you ever been punished by a parent or teacher because you did something wrong or inappropriate? Or have you ever been rewarded for good behavior, like helping your sibling or for good grades? If any of these situations have happened to you, you were learning through operant conditioning. In its simplest form, operant conditioning is learning by consequence. By getting punished for saying something inappropriate in class, your teacher may have taken away your recess, which was a consequence for your behavior. Please read the designated pages in the textbook and attend in-person class on Thursday. The last section is observational learning, which has its foundation in cognitive learning. Recall that cognitive is just a fancy word for thinking or thoughts. In other words, cognitive learning is about how we develop higher level thinking or thought processes. Please read the designated pages in the textbook and attend in-person class on Thursday. I do want to point out a fun fact about Dr. Z and Dr. Albert Bandura. I attended Stanford University when Dr. Bandura was also a professor at Stanford. I was fortunate to enroll in a senior seminar from Dr. Bandura. Senior seminars were limited to only 10 students, so we got quality one-on-one time with the founding father of social learning theory and self-efficacy. It was an awesome class. Well, let's go to our assignments for this week. The first assignment is the Nearpod lesson, which we have already reviewed. The second assignment is discussion board number 4 on classical conditioning. After completing the activity this week called Experiment, Can Anyone Be Trained?, you're going to evaluate the classical conditioning experiment to which you were assigned. In your individual response, please describe the experiment, identify all key parts of classical conditioning, and then with the second question, explain how you would continue the study on your own. The third assignment is the chapter quiz. I encourage you to spend time understanding the difference between classical conditioning and operant conditioning. Students often mix this up. Finally, the fourth assignment this week is application paper number 4. Question 1 will review classical conditioning and applying it to yourself. Question 2 will review operant conditioning and applying it to yourself. And then question 3 is a reflection of Albert Bandura's Bobo doll studies in observational learning. And then question 4, as always, is your wow moment for the week. If you've gotten this far, I will reward you with extra credit. If you want to earn 3 points extra credit, submit the name of the professor that I took a class from at Stanford University in extra credit Easter eggs on Canvas. I look forward to seeing you during in-person class on Thursday and reviewing your awesome assignments this week.